Welcome back to our video series on XYZ Mesh. I'm Kyle, the creator of XYZ Mesh, and today we're going to be going over some of the settings that we have not previously covered, mainly in the menus. Dark mode, how to change the decimal point, and activation settings. XYZ Mesh is a software used to create three-dimensional surface plots from XYZ data. These created plots can then be exported into Microsoft Excel graphs, DXF drawings, CSV data tables, text, and even integrated models. The best part of XYZ Mesh is the ability to share those exported plots with anyone without any extra software required. If you click on File, you're going to see some of the things we've previously covered, such as the exporting options and some of the input options as well. You're also going to see the Create/New or Clear, and this is going to basically do the same thing as the Update/Clear row count that we covered in the previous video, where it just empties out the input data and clears it out for you. Next, if you go over to Edit, you're going to see the copy options that we covered previously, as well as a Clear All. A Clear All will clear all the data from all of the charts and leave you with a fresh opening of XYZ Mesh. The last thing in the Edit menu is the decimal input type. Now, by default, this is set to period being the decimal point, as we are located in America, and that is the decimal point that we use in the US. However, you can change it to a comma input. New to version 10 is the auto detect decimal, which will automatically detect and see if you're using commas or periods, and will adjust the calculations for whichever one you input. Now, this is turned on by default, but you can toggle this off if it is not working, or if you would just like to manually put it in as commas and leave it that way forever. Now, it should be noted that all the settings that we are going over today, as well as everything we covered previously, is saved in a settings document that is then reopened every time that XYZ Mesh opens. Therefore, it remembers your settings. The next options we're going to look at are the auto convert, which will automatically convert your data from an XYZ input into a mesh format if you so choose to do that. You can also have auto update cells, which will automatically update the cells whenever you type them in here to display on the main graph. The information window is something we will cover later, but it will bring up information on the plot that you have currently generated. The information includes slope and angles and averages, as well as individual points at certain locations. Pretty much all the information about your converted grid is displayed in the information window. The next thing we're going to look at, which is a new improvement in version 10, is the color theme. I personally prefer the dark color theme. However, for the purpose of this video, I have been leaving this on the default. However, I'm going to now change it over to dark. So if you go to Options, Color Theme, and Dark, it will update everything to a darker mode for you. Now, the next option we're going to be looking at is called a compare window. This will require you to have two separate XYZ Mesh project files saved on your computer, so then you can open them and compare them side by side. So inside the options, go to compare mesh, and now you can load in your first file. So we're going to load in this file that we have here. And as you can see, we have it loaded in. We are now going to load in the exact same file just for comparison, but you can upload a different file if you so choose to. And now you see that we have two graphs plotting exactly the same. And if we expand this out, you can see the data for each one of the plots. We can also adjust if we want to offset this in the X or Y. So if we offset this by X, it'll swap it around, and we can change the spacing between the two as well. So that puts it further apart, while this brings it close together. Makes it a little bit easier for you to see the differences between the graphs. Next, we're going to be looking at the help menu. Inside the help menu, the first tab is the about page. The first option is XYZ Mesh. If you open this up, it's going to bring up a window that is going to check for updates, as well as give you information about the current version of XYZ Mesh that you are running. If you had any updates available, not only would this window come up automatically whenever you opened up XYZ Mesh, it will check for updates every 10 days, but if there was an update available, you would see this window and it would tell you right here what the update was, as well as what was changed in the latest update. On this window, you can also directly download the latest update by clicking this button, which will bring you to a page that will allow you to download it, or you can go directly to the main web page of XYZ Mesh, which typically outlines the new features whenever you are upgrading from an older version to a newer version. Inside a help about an OpenTK or OpenGL is the documentation and information window regarding the plotting graph that we have on the right. Because XYZ Mesh uses OpenGL, which is actually packaged inside of OpenTK, which is used for the platform that we are currently running XYZ Mesh in. Below the About page is the support, and support will simply bring up a window for you so you can see what email to email our support at. I would also like to explain that we do not offer tech support over phone. We only offer tech support via email. So that email address is who you need to contact, and I'm going to be your contact person, which is Kyle. The next option down is going to be the tutorial window, which offers a very quick, brief tutorial over how to operate XYZ Mesh, but we do actually have a full documentation on all the features of XYZ Mesh on our main website, which if you scroll down on our main site all the way down to the FAQ, it's going to be the very first option, which is right here. How do I use XYZ Mesh? And we have an online user manual. If you click on that, it'll bring you to our page where it has every single feature laid out for you and what it does. To add to the tutorial window, the GPU graphing controls is a text document that also explains how to manipulate the graph back here. Pretty straightforward. We've already explained this in another video. Below the tutorial section is the activation window. Now, the activation window is where you are going to be inputting your license key to activate your product to either a personal license, a business license, or a corporate license. You can also deactivate your license and reactivate it on another machine. With personal licenses, you can only have one machine active at a time. To be able to run your application on more than one machine, you will need to deactivate a machine before you transfer it to another machine, and all that can be done in this window. Simply input your license, deactivate it, go to your new machine, and reactivate it. There is no limitation on a personal license how many times you can deactivate or reactivate your license, but you will need to do this step in order to transfer your product from one machine to another. Business licenses come with up to 5 installs, so your license will work up to 5 times to activate it on a machine. After that, you will need to start deactivating and reactivating, the same as a personal license. And then corporate tier licenses, we have that set at a business-to-business basis. Typically, it is set at 10, so up to 10 installs, and after that, you'll have to purchase more licenses at your corporate level to be able to activate more computers. Underneath the activation is the reset defaults, which will do what it says. It will reset all of your settings back to default values. And then below that is the transfer settings. This option is left in from version 7 and 8 to allow you to transfer your file settings from version 6 or 7 into version 8, 9, or 10. And that's it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. In our next video, we're going to be covering the menu options over top of the graphing window, which will allow you to change the different graphing types, as well as having a floating window so you can have just a graph being populated on a projector or a screen for presentations and things like that. If you'd like to try XYZ Mesh out for yourself, the link is going to be in the description down below. And if you did find this video helpful or this series of videos, consider subscribing to the channel, as it does help us out. Thank you all very much, and until next time, have a great rest of your day.